So we understand how a fork system call works with the help of a C program. Let's say we have a process ID with 1129 as the parent process, and in this parent process we execute the C program, and we see in this line this has a fork call in the second line. So this, what does this do is it creates child process, and it returns a return code for the child process. That is, if the child has been created successfully, it returns a return code of 0. That is, PID will store the value of 0 if child has been created successfully, and -1 if the child has been not created successfully, that is, fork has been failed. So when the fork, this line has been executed, there is a child been created. Let's say this child has a PID of 1152 and the parent is the same, that is 1129 with process ID of 1129. So they both execute with the same address space, that is the same code, and we see that the child has been created successfully. So this will have a process ID return code of 0. So it will not execute this statement, that is if condition, since the return code of this is not less than 0, and since this condition will get executed because the return code, that is PID, will be equal to 0. So the child process will execute this else if part, whereas in this parent process uh, the PID return code is not less than 0, and else part will also not get executed since it's not a child process, so the return statement code will not be 0. So it will execute this else part, that is the next of the else if. So we see that in the else if part of the child process there is a line to execute the bash script, that is exe, that is bash script. So this child process executes this bash script, and the parent process has a wait line, that is it waits until the child process successfully executes all of its statements plus program code, and then the parent executes its own program. So this waits until it's been executed, the child process, and after the child has been executed successfully, this line will get executed from the parent, that is child complete, that, and the parent then exits with the help of exit code. So this how we see how a parent and child process shares the same address space, but the code of execution remains different due to the conditions given in the code, which makes child and parent execute differently but with the same C code given. And the important point to note that is the PID is not the parent, the process ID which is being written. So this is a return code if a child has been created successfully or not, that is either 0 or -1 if it's not been created successfully. So this how we know that if the child has been created properly and or not. So yeah, so this how we see a forking of a child and parent with the help of a fork system called NC.